Today is Thursday, April 3rd, 2014, and this is the beginning of an interview with Mr. Harry C. Heyman of Fremont, Ohio. Mr. Heyman is 90 years old, having been born on February 28th, 1924. My name is Julie Miley, manuscripts assistant at the Rutherford B. Hayes Presidential Center, and I will be conducting this interview. Okay, Mr. Heyman, would you be able to state for the record what war, branch of service, and years of that you served?
World War II, United States Marine Corps.
And what area? What part of the Marine Corps did you serve in? The battalion, anything like that?
1st Marine Division.
Okay.
1st Regiment.
Okay. Now, were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted. They got me down to draft because I signed up in Norwalk for the draft. And, well, you wouldn't know him, but the guy lived across the street from me, was a friend of mine, George Long. His mother lived in New York because his dad had died. She's some executive of it. I don't remember what the hell it was anymore. But anyhow, she wanted him to come there for a vacation after we graduated. So he wanted to know if I'd go along. I said, yeah, but I don't have a hell of a lot of money, for rent or anything. Oh, it's already paid for. Ma's got this. She rented a whole floor, the Lincoln Hotel up there. I think we were in the third or fourth floor. I don't remember. But it's right at Times Square.
Wow.
So she had some money.
Oh, yeah.
And anyhow, we went there and stayed with her, and I got a job up there. I got a job in Brooklyn, and I can't think of the name of that company anymore. It's a big company, kind of like Walmart would have done. And then I quit there, and I went down and worked on Wall Street with London Guarantee and Accident Insurance Company, which was moved from London to New York. So I was one of 4 guys that worked in the building. 14 stories. They don't count the 13th.
That's true. Bad luck.
14th floors, all women except us 4 guys.
Oh.
I was sworn to secrecy. I don't know if I'm out of that yet or not, but the ships got sunk. It was reported to me, and then when they were put in into one of the typists, and it was one of the guys. It wasn't a woman, and then it was put on the machine, and as records to keep for the government. And
wow.
They didn't want it said because the Germans were sinking our ships. We had 4 or 5 ships every day. That was reported to us, see. And also, if we had a day that was clear, and there was a wreck with a yellow cab company, we also had that. They had that covered. I don't know how they had it covered. I mean, why a company from England, but I didn't run the company, so I can't tell you. But we go to lunch at 12 o'clock. Well, 14 floors of people on the elevator. I think we had like 4 elevators running, and it's just packed.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get out and you go down. They had a couple of restaurants down there, and you were packed. I mean, your whole half hour was shot just trying to get food. But anyhow, I found out how women feel when there's a bunch of men on and they're alone or something, because they're just as bad as the men. And so we started taking our break at 11 o'clock. So we got our food, and also we got in before the rest of the people around there. And what the hell was the name of that company? There's a big bank right across the road from us. They used to stand there and watch when they bring in trucks, and they'd bring them in. They'd stop, and the guards would get out and look around. Then they'd open the outer door, and there was the inner door, and finally I got to know one of the guys talking to him a little bit, and he told me, we got 4 doors you got to go through. Overhead doors. You pull the truck in, stop. They close the outside door, they open the inside door, and they drive up to the next door. They close the one they were in and raise the new one. 4 times they did that.
Wow.
Bring the money in.
Wow.
And or take it out on them, which they didn't tell you anything about the money. But it was interesting. Wall Street was interesting. I enjoyed it down there. It was nice. A lot nicer than the one in Brooklyn was.
I bet.
And it was closer for me because I didn't have to go across the bridge to go over into Brooklyn. Because, like I said, we lived right there at... act like I forgot the name of it again. Where the streets cross, there's... Isn't that terrible?
Oh, you're fine.
Anyhow, from there to down, take a bus, you know. And it was a pretty good ride from... oh, geez, what the hell's the name of I can't think of it. It'll come to me when I don't want it. But anyhow, I liked New York. I really did. Because, different times I'd get up and we'd go out and George and I and get a hamburger. Of course, their hamburgers were just coming in then, but they're great. 2 or 3 in the morning. You know, walk down the street. No one down the street. That's the time to walk down the street. Because other than that, it's just packed. And packed now, cars in the street and people on the sidewalk. So many times we did that. And then go to bed for a couple hours, and get up again and catch the bus. Times Square. I told you I get it. Times Square. And so we live 1 block off of Times Square, where Times Square is at. You go down the next main street was 8th Avenue. And that's where she was at. They had a hotel right on the corner, and the Lincoln Hotel owned it. It was part of the Lincoln Hotel, which is on Times Square itself.
Okay.
One corner of it. And it was 6 stories high. We had a theater across the street from us, and one next to us on the other side. These were not movie theaters, they're stage.
Yeah, like plays.
And I forgot the name of them. We saw a couple of them. But we used to stand up because of the hotter than hell there in the summertime. We'd go up in the 6th floor and look down, and then they'd yell at us and stuff, you know, we yell back. And it was kind of fun. You know, but yeah, that was a good experience. And you know, people said they were scared of New York City. I was never scared up there.
You know, I went there. My husband and I went there for our honeymoon.
Oh, did you?
And I didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
So
what part of New York City?
Oh, we stayed. We went all over.
Oh, did you?
We went to Times Square.
Oh, did you?
You know,
Times?
Central Park, all that stuff.
Oh, Times Square. Like I say, 8th Avenue. Run into a guy. I wish I could have kept track of all this stuff. I run into this guy. He owned a nightclub. And he took a liking to George and I don't know why. But, you know, we pretty well ate for nothing. You get a big steak and stuff. And of course, some of those are people that supported fighters, because there's a lot of fist fighters and that, you know, in there. And so you'd sit there and maybe someone come over and start shining your shoes. Hey, I didn't ask you to do all this. So-and-so over there says he wants your shoes shining and stuff, you know. And, they just treat us wonderful. Yeah, you can't believe it. Then he invited us up to his apartment. He lived right across from the park on there. And he was on the third floor, and I forgot the name of the building, but anyhow, got up there, and man, he had a good-looking daughter. Ooh, was she cute. But, she turned out, she was going to college, just started freshman at college. She was her object was to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Well, she wound up being that, and she also wound up, they appointed her to the state of New York Supreme Court.
Really?
Same girl. Not then. Of course,
Yeah.
this was years later, you know. But I read about her in the paper, and she had married this guy, and yeah, she was appointed to that. But anyhow, they just treat us wonderful. I can't say they didn't. I would fight anyone over that, because it was just a complete pleasure of it. And the only reason I left, well, a company with Cuban construction. Mm-hmm. I'd gone to, in high school, I took construction now as far as, you know, operating saws and all that kind of stuff. I passed that pretty good. And they found out about it, so they needed help. They're just a new company starting up. And apparently the government, our government, was paying to have these buildings built in Cuba. Support troops or whatever it was. And so they got a hold of me and wanted to know if I'd like to do that. And first I said, yeah, I did, and then I got thinking, oh, hell, I don't know what Cuba is. That's out of the country. I don't want to go to Cuba. And I found out you had to go to Cuba, see. I said, I'm not going to Cuba. And so I turned it down, but I had a guy in Bellevue, Bob Peters. He was a what do you call him? He played baseball for the Cleveland Indians, but he wasn't on the team. He was
it's like a minor league?
Minor league, the top minor league one. I think it's
one of the farm teams.
Yeah, and anyhow, he was when I was in Bellevue, I played for him. See, and the team we had, and so he called me on the phone. He wanted to know if I'd come back. So he wanted to know when I was leaving up there. I'd been gone a couple of months already, and I said, well, I think I'd just stay. I mean, everything's so great. He said, well, I got a chance for you. He says, and this is a once-in-a-world chance. He says, I'd say. He says, I went through it. He says, I didn't get all the way through. I'd like to. But he says, the Indians are looking for people and for the minor leagues, you know. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I didn't know if I wanted that. And he said, well, it'll pay pretty good. And, well, he talked me into it, so I quit. Came back home, and I went to, I think it was Mansfield. And I went down and talked to them there. Yeah, they take you on. All I got was $70 when I was out of town. I mean, that was in the month. Mm-hmm. I was making almost $200 a week in New York City. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a big pay cut.
Yeah. I quit right then and there. I said, forget it. I said, I should have stayed in New York. It was too late then. I couldn't get back out there. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, a lot of those things pass you up when time goes on. I guess it was all right. I was happy where I worked up there. They were very good to me. Like I said, the only distinction we had up there was between the men and women, because they were as bad as the men were, believe me. I tell you, they were. They were. Everyone say, I'm kidding, like hell I am. We cut that off in a hurry and went an hour early.
Uh-oh.
New York, I go back, I think, if I ever had a chance, just to see what it was. I've been there since, twice, a couple of times. But just going through, really.
Yeah.
Not stopping much. Went through down where I stayed, and then we took 8th Avenue out, or we could. I just don't remember all of it anymore.
Yeah.
It was interesting. No, but the thing was, I enlisted.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish that. When I got to New York, the day after I got there, it came out in the New York Times and that they were having the enlistment up there in New York. And everyone that was there that was at least 18 years old, and if you were a male, you had to enlist. I mean, the one that enlisted was, so anyhow, we got talking about it, and George's mother said, you ought to go out early, because she says it's just packed and stuff like that, or you got to enlist or do things.
Register and all that.
Registered. And so we did. We got up early and went down there. We were there by 7, and they were starting in already. There's a kind of crowd. And so we went through their deal, and they said, well, you're from Ohio. We'll probably shift you back to Ohio if you're going there, but you got to let us know. Other than that, if you stand here, you got to let us know. And I said, okay. So George and I left, walked out of the building, and got outside, and there's a photographer and a reporter there. I said, hey, can we talk to you guys in a minute, Yeah, what do you want? We didn't know who the hell they were, and they told us who they were. They worked for the New York Times. And said, do you mind if we take a picture of you and interview you? Fine. We didn't care. We didn't. I never had that before. And anyhow, they did that, and they said, well, you'll see that in the paper tonight. And if it's not on tonight, it'll be on tomorrow's paper. Well, it so happened it was tomorrow's paper. Right on the front page, the picture and the interview. It was me, not George. They cut George off.
Oh, no.
Completely off. And I was there, and I had overalls on, and my hair was all kind of long and all messed up. And farm boy from Ohio and enlisted in New York City.
Now, what year was this?
Huh?
What year was this?
That was in 1942.
Okay.
And anyhow, we got back. Of course, we don't know any of this was happening. And we got back and told George's mother, that they took a picture and everything. She said, well, we thought with two of us, we stand side by side, that you'd be in there. So she ordered every paper that was being brought into that place of hers, the Lincoln, over to her quarters, and she would pay for them and everything, and so she'd have all these copies. They wouldn't make separate copies. And in other words, I tried to get one later, and I couldn't. And boy, that first one came in, she opened that like that and struggled up and that was down. And there must have been 30 papers.
Oh, no.
And down the shaft they go to the basement. So I didn't get one at the time or anything, so then I tried to get one later. I didn't think of it that day. If I had her a day or less. It was about a week later I asked, and I couldn't get it. And I also had my grandson, who was a lawyer, checked in with him, and this is a few years back, and it's all gone. They threw all that away. But that was funny, though. George was completely left out in the cold. I'll never forget that. Yeah, his mother was mad.
Sounds like.
She was mad, I tell you, she was. George, it affected him for a while. But
Yeah.
we used to kid him a little bit, you weren't handsome enough to be in and all that kind of stuff. That was quite a deal. No, I stayed home after I said I came home with that baseball thing. No sense in me going back to New York.
Okay.
I couldn't get a job done there at the time. I didn't think that would help me.
Sure.
And anyhow, I went to work for over here, Clyde Porcelain. It used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whirlpool now.
Whirlpool. I worked there for a while. But anyhow, I decided I was getting awful close to being drafted, and I didn't want to get drafted. And my dad didn't like the Army. And I don't know why. He was never in it. He's the most worthless bunch of guys he ever knew or met. And of course, I couldn't get in there in the Canadian Air Force, and I didn't know anything about. They got the Army out there. It's just a standby. What do they call them?
The reserve?
Huh?
The reserves?
No,
or the National Guard?
It's lower than that even. It's really the state has control of them.
The National Guard?
National Guard. And I didn't want any of that. And what was it? The Navy. The Navy. I looked at that and I see them with that little stupid hat they wear, and all that kind of stuff, and I said, no damn way I can swim that far if in case the ship gets sunk. So the Navy's out, and I didn't know where I was going to go. I was at an end. I didn't know anything else. So I had gotten a job at a shoe store there in Bellevue. I was the assistant manager. There's only two of us, the manager and the assistant. That was it. Anyhow, one day the manager said to me, he says, hey, you'll see a guy coming in there all dressed up. He says, I want you to treat him nice. I said, why? He said, because this guy I worked for, he was a real character. And he said, well, he's my brother-in-law. He says, he's coming home, he says, for a little vacation. Yeah, I said, oh, all right. So, I don't know, about 4 o'clock that afternoon, this guy walks in, and Bunny Cockrell was the guy's name, the manager. He's from Clyde. And anyhow, he introduced me to him. He says, this is my brother-in-law. He's all dressed up in the uniform and everything. And so Bunny, he grabbed all the good-looking girls that came in, all the time. Wanted to wait on them. So he went that, and I stand there talking to the guy, and I said, where the hell are you from? Or what the hell are you from? What band do you belong to? Yeah. Band? I don't know, band. He said, what do you mean? He was a Marine.
Uh-oh, he's in his dress blues, huh?
Dress blues. Well, that caught my eye. And I told him what I was thinking. He said, I don't blame you. He says, I'll tell you one thing. He says, I'd recommend you join the Marines. And I said, well, I don't know anything about them. I don't know what the hell they do or nothing else. Well, he says, they're kind of like the Army in a way. He said, we're a lot better, that's all. And I said, oh, we are, huh? And he says, yeah. So he left, and I don't know, a couple of weeks went by, and they were getting close down there. Norwalk was in charge of it at the time. And I said, well, I can't go to the Army, I can't go to the Navy, I can't go to the National Guard. The only thing I can do is slip out of Canada and go up to Canada and hide someplace. Anyhow, Dad got, you ain't pulling any of that stuff. I said, no, I said, I'm kidding, I don't know what to do. I really was lost. And finally I said, well, hell, I'm going to take a shot at the Marine Corps. So I grabbed a train, took it to Cleveland, got down there, and the guy from Elyria, I can't remember his name anymore, he and I were the last two in line. I left Bellevue at, I think 6:30 in the morning or 6:15 in the morning, and the train takes you to Cleveland. Then you got, I don't know, several blocks to walk to get down to the building where they did this. Mm-hmm. We got down there, and they were lined up all the way from the 4th floor clear out to the door.
Goodness.
And I said, holy Pete, I don't know if I can stand this, And the guy said, well, we go get something to eat, he says, and I think it over. And I said, well, I'm not going to take the train back. Mm-hmm. And that's just too damn much. And we thought it over and everything. And I said, well, I'm going to take the train, go home, and I won't see you anymore. So I said, okay. So I don't know, about 4 or 5 days went by, something like that. And I got the train again and go to Cleveland. Decided, hell, no other place. They were like a day or two from being drafted. Mm-hmm. And so I got a hold of him and told him, and he met me down in Cleveland. We were the last two in line. Now, that's God's truth. And it was 4 stories high. And the guys lining, and guys were walking out of there. I looked like a midget to them. I mean, they were very husky guys. One of them was a quarterback for Ohio State, and I can't think of his name. Either he was right in front of me. And the only reason I remember him is he passed out when they put the needle in us.
Oh, no.
We had the guy in front of him had a little blood going. He saw that, and he passed out right on the floor. So, yeah, he got up, and I ran into him later and playing baseball years later, a couple of years later. But anyhow, we finally made it up to the 4th floor, and we were 14 from going in the door. Mm-hmm. And they closed the door. Oh, no. Now, we're there all day, had nothing to eat, so they're all day trying to get in. And I don't know, they flung hundreds of people. And we'd ask these guys as they go by, you made it? No, flung. So we got up there, and we just raised hell. I and this other guy, we started, and he said, we're not coming back. The hell, if that's the way they're going to treat it, we don't need to have any. Well, we finally changed our mind. They opened the door for just the 14th of us. Mm-hmm. They cut it off there, because these other guys come in after hours anyhow. So we got in. First thing they made us do is take our shoes and socks off, and stand on a cardboard floor. They had cardboard on the floor. They checked your feet, see if they were,
flat.
Flat or something. And I think 1 or 2 of them did get kicked out at that point. And they throw you, you're done if they found something wrong. Then we did something else. I think they looked at our head to see if we had any knocks or something, I believe. That you weren't, maybe a little off the bone, probably. And so we got down to 6 or 7 of us, something like that. And they made us strip.
Mm-hmm.
Take everything off. They check your body all over. If you have a scratch on you, you're gone. Well, there's, I think there was 4 of us that didn't have any scratches or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they took us in. And we had to go back and have that paper signed and bring it back. And I didn't see the old man for 3 years.
What was it?
I didn't know that was going to happen, right like that. So the first thing they did was tell us the next day, they finished quarters for us. So the next morning, you're going to on a train to Chicago.
Yeah.
So that's we took the 14 of us and went up there, and they made me in charge of that group and those others. And I didn't ask for that, and I wasn't too sure I even liked it. Yeah. Mostly it was good. It was tough. The Marines Corps is tough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're any tougher today than they were then, but they were tough. And we were behind a fence because San Diego, they put us in the San Diego bunch down there. And San Diego's right downtown, right at the airfield, with all kinds of people walking by. Right outside the fence, you could stick your fingers through and touch them, and that's hell when you're locked up. It was almost 3 months. I forgot just how many it was, and you didn't get outside of that. And the only thing outside you could do when you weren't outside, you were within the compound, was just go to church.
Oh, really?
On Sundays. They line you up, and you go into church, and whatever church you wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And you got nothing else. You ate on the property and everything. And the only excitement we had, once in a while, a plane would knock one of the lights that was on their fence.
Mm-hmm.
The plane would be too low, and the wheel would hit it and knock it off, and down it'd come.
Really?
And I was near our mess hall. And those lights were pretty big, I was afraid of a plane coming down. Well, that was, and from there, I graduated, and like I said, on the graduation, they ask you where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go. I wanted the Air Corps. No, we don't know. So they came back. Yep, I got you all lined up. Where we're going? Paratroops.
Uh-oh.
Holy! I got paratroops. I think I'm going to jump out of a damn plane. And anyhow, God, that's funny. Can't remember the town. There's just a small town that was right on site of San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego's all around it now. And my brother-in-law, his wife was from that town.
Hmm.
He was a doctor.
Okay.
And he's in the Navy. And I never saw him as a doctor there. I only saw him once, and he was in civilian clothes at the time.
Okay.
But later on, I found out he made captain in the Navy. Finally, they wanted to put him in as an admiral,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the lowest rank an admiral is. And he quit. He was 22 years in the Navy. And he
Wow.
says the reason he did He says, they want to put me in. He says, they don't want to give me what I want. They want to give me some crappy little place someplace, and I'm not going to do it. Mm-mm. So he retired. And so he's retired from the hospital. He took over a hospital in California there. And he was the head of the hospital for a number of years. He finally retired from that. His wife taught medical things at college out there someplace. But yeah, and, I got in paratroops, and the one thing the Marine Corps do, when you get up in the morning, you go out and sometimes we would be 3 hours, or not 3 hours, 3 miles we run. And then you come back in and eat. Then you went out and did 3/4 an hour or so of calisthenics, depending on whoever was reading you, leading you. There, and I had 3 bosses out there, and one's name was Sweet. Never forget this. He came to front of us, and he was a rough-looking guy and mean-looking. He says, my name's Sweet, and God damn it, he says, you better not ever forget it. Just like that. That's a hell of a way to start off to a bunch of new men. So then the other 2, one was a Polish guy. He was about 6'4", and he wasn't fat, as skinny as a run. He was the nicest guy. Because, then the other one was Chow Holland Davis. We called him Chow Holland because he always had us in the front of the line to eat. You know, and but anyhow, get back to this skinny Polak. I can't remember his confounded name, but he'd take us out and walk. We had to take our packs, pack you wear in your back, you know, put your clothes and all that in. Normally that weighs someplace around 30 pounds. He'd make us take all the clothes out of there, fill it full of sand, march up and down the sand beach. And I mean, you'd sink in up to your knees. You know, and the first couple times they did it, we didn't like him too well. And so there's PX down at the end, one end of this beach. And he'd take us down there, and we'd sit in the shade, which was the only shade they had down the beach. And he went and buy every one of us a pop. We got liking him real well. And you know, he'd do different things like that, see? And he was really nice. Also was Chow Davis. He was a nice guy too, but not quite as nice. And the other guy was Sweet. He was nothing. He used to go out and get drunk. And he came and he got drunk on one night, and it was raining, just pouring out. Take everything off except your shorts. Get your rifle, and we're marching up and down the field. And then down there, that marching field is big. I don't know how long it is offhand. I'm just guessing, probably 300 yards long and maybe 200 wide. And we walked them down at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're out there walking in the rain. And anyhow, the word got back that this guy did it, the Sweet. And so we had it's the only time I saw an officer there. And he came down, he was a captain, and he wanted to know about it, and we told him. Well, Sweet was gone the next day. And they shipped him overseas.
Really?
So we had just the 2 of them then. But then I went to paratroops, and it was all right. Like I say, an awful lot of running and calisthenics. And So the one night we started out to run, and I got about 75 yards, I guess. Well, I woke up in the hospital, and I saw this guy dressed up in a white outfit, an officer's outfit, but it was the Navy. See, the Navy, the Marines part of the Navy.
Yeah.
Okay. They think they are, not anymore. But still the Navy handles all the medical stuff.
Okay.
So he's there, and I said, "What the hell am I doing? Where am I?" He come over, he says, "You're in a hospital." And he told me what it was. The Navy, big one down there. And he says, "You just ruined the whole weekend for me." I said, "What are you talking about?" Well, he says, "I got to stay here and watch you." He says, "And I had a date," he said, "with the cutest damn girl you ever saw." He says, "And I I think that was on a Friday when this happened."
Okay.
And Friday night, that was gone. So Saturday, on up, he had to stay all day Saturday too. So I just ruined his whole damn weekend. Anyhow, I got out of there, and they sent me to not El Cajon. What the hell was another base up there, further north than the Marine bases. And they're just regular, I want to say soldiers or something to do. They teach you how in the hell to go up and down the mountains.
Okay.
I walked up and down those. I weighed 22 pounds when I got there. And, and walking up and down those mountains, and we had, of course, food was furnished, but until we went out on the boondocks, then they give you a hunk of meat and maybe a canteen of water, and that. See you next week. That's true. And anyhow, I went up to 180 something, and I couldn't believe it either. I don't know. I just put muscles on where I didn't need them again. But I woke up this one morning, and we get in the habit. It was hotter than hell out there in that time of the year, and so we'd see mesquite bushes that we'd lay under it in the shade, and so that's what I did. I laid under the mesquite bush in the shade. Probably laying there a couple hours, and I felt something on me. I had laying, and I had my leg. I think it was the right leg up like this, kind of up, and flat. And something like kicked like that. It was a rattlesnake. And I kicked in the bush. The guy said, "My God," he says, "you just kicked a rattlesnake." I went over, and that's what it was. So we teased him. Finally killed him. And they had a well near there where we get water. So we'd taken water out of that, and later on I found out that there was a dead rabbit and a dead snake in it.
And you were drinking out of it? Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I changed that. When we found that out, we didn't drink very much. And then we went over to cross the road. There's a road about 300-400 yards from us, and on the other side of that, people had little places you could buy oranges and
little
that
fruit
kind of
stands and stuff.
They had this, so we went over and stole these oranges one night. Some of them, come back, and he caught us out there doing it, and we tied him up in a tree and took off. Well, the sheriff come out next morning. He got loose. I don't know. I suppose his wife let him loose. I don't know. But then the sheriff wanted to know who in the hell did this. And none of us knew anything, you know. We didn't know anything. Well, it turned out the guy was all right. He gave us, after that, he gave us stuff, you know,
That's
oranges
funny.
or stuff like that. And so we got through our week. But, then it was, it wasn't very long. I was aboard ship going overseas.
Okay.
I left on a ship. I can't remember the name of that either. But it was Pier 25. I'll never forget that.
Pier 25?
Pier 25, San Diego. And I'm telling you, I've never had anything like that happen again. It's something when you look and you see that you're getting away from the country and you realize it. Boy, I'll tell you, a lot of us realized it. And after a day or two of watching the fish, you know, swimming around the boat and all that stuff, we got over that, and it was 30 days later we got into San Diego.
Wow.
But getting into San Diego, not San Diego, Melbourne, Australia. That's
Okay.
what I'm talking about. And coming up to Melbourne, we had a sub get after us, I guess, because they just turned us right south on just as fast as they could.
Wow.
Down to the Antarctic. And we got down there. That's colder than hell. I got caught guard duty. I had to stand up and a post. It's supposed to have been for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And with my rifle, no ammunition, so it wouldn't have done any good. Besides, there was nothing to shoot. They were all right on that. But why give you a gun and no ammunition?
Yeah.
And so anyhow, finally someone opened the door. I was up in where most of the officers stay.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy opened the door. He said, I wondered what in the hell that was. That's you out here hitting the wall? I said, hitting the wall? Yeah, he says, you're banging something on the wall. Well, and we had a storm come up, and it was really, I was lashed to the wall. They hook you right to the railing going around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he says, what are you doing out here? He says, it's so cold and everything. I said, well, I'm on guard duty. What the hell are you guarding? I said, I don't know, I guess you officers have been jumping overboard, I don't know. And he says, you get the hell inside here. I says, I can't do that. I said, I'm on guard duty. He says, I'm a lieutenant, he's up quite a ways, and I can't think of what it is with the Navy call. He says, I'm ordering you to come in. He says, so that clears you. They have to go after me.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you. So I went in there, and he says, you're cold, aren't you? I says, yes, I'm cold. He broke out a bottle of whiskey, and he poured me 2 shots. He says, this will warm me up. And then a little later, lieutenant come around, and he was hollering out there, where's the guard, where's the guard? The old alkaline major.
Mm-hmm.
He opened the door, he says, what the hell do you want? He said, what are you doing out there? Get in here. He saw me inside there. He said, you get out on your post out there. He's not going anywhere. He's sitting right where he's at. And he says, well, I'm ordering him to do it. He says, I'm countermanding your order. He says, I got my ranks higher than yours, and this is the way it's going to be. So he just went to the lieutenant out without any whiskey or anything. He didn't give him any. And he says, you'll probably hear about this. Well, I never did, really. I don't know. But anyhow, one of our... See, those ships, big ships have like 2 screws, what they call the screws. You got a propeller here and a propeller over here. They both work like this.
Mm-hmm.
One of our propellers, units went out, and so we had to ride it out, the storm out, and just sitting there as much as we could. And finally, when it got light enough, they got the one screw they could get it going, and I guess they sent ships out to see that protect us in case the submarine showed up or something. But I got into Melbourne, and that was wonderful. God, I get in there, you can't believe it. How it is to come after 30 days, you think you're lost, you know.
Yeah.
And so we got off the ship there, and we had people, my God. They were so happy to see us. Because,
really?
Yeah, Melbourne, you know, if I had to go any place to live, I'd take Melbourne, or Australia. And because they treated us just as nice as could be. And the Japs were coming down anyhow, the islands from Japan, I guess you'd say, I don't know. But they put us in Melbourne to help protect the city and the country. And those people knew it. But nevertheless, you know, I often said, I'd have guys, you meet a guy and talk to him, maybe have a drink of beer with him or something, or ale. They drink a lot of ale. And he said, well, why don't you come home and eat with me? You sure you're going to like that? Your wife going to like it? I said, no problem. There wasn't. I only got kicked out of one place. And I think she thought I wasn't there to eat. I don't know, but the girl called up later, and her mother got on the phone and apologized and everything, and she says, you come in. She says, too late now, but she says, tomorrow night you're invited in. And, just as nice could be. They're very, very friendly, you know, and so it went on like that through, well, I was down there over a month, and they took me up the islands to Guadalcanal for a while. Well, first of all, we left there, and can't remember the name of that damn place. We had to refuel the ships. Because it was too far for them to go on what they had, I guess. So, Major got a hold of me anyway. I was sworn to secrecy again. We had to go in New Guinea. And that's this town out there, Port something, I can't think of the name of it, I can't see it here either. Anyhow, we stopped over there and we were getting fuel. And it was about 2 days, I guess, because we had a whole bunch of ships together. And so I had to go out on something I can't say. I swore to I'd never tell, and I never have. And anyhow, after that, well, we got back and got ships. Then went to Guadalcanal, and that's the Marine Corps had just taken that. It was right in the end of it.
Okay.
Kind of thing, and that's where they pulled out. Left the Marine set, and the Navy pulled out, took all their ships out. Didn't leave much ammunition, hardly any food, and the guys had to fight their way through that. First, you eat a lot of coconut seed, but you know, you get a couple of loaves is enough.
Yeah.
And anyhow, from there on, I went on to Papuvu. That was the name of the island, Papuvu. And we hit all the rocks down there. Anyhow, the Aussie ships that took us there, they were shorter and they didn't draw as much water. They'd sail right across the stuff. See? Well, our ship tried to do that, and or like this. Yeah, I fell down.
Oh my God.
Matter of fact, the lieutenant and I were talking up top there, and he had his hand on the rail, on the rope, and I didn't. I was standing there loose when it happened, when we hit that thing, and of course everything tipped this way, and the doors of the covers for in the holds for the ship were open because they were getting ready to land. They'd have to unload as fast as they could and count the Japs. And I fell down in where the barbed wire was at and cut my leg open, clear up in here. Then I got shot through it later on the other side. And that was Papu. That was what it was a marsh.
I would say, no, from what I've heard, they said it was just a dirty, stinky place. Like, it was just miserable.
It was.
Okay.
It was miserable. The ants were big enough, or the mosquitoes were big enough to carry out of there.
Oh my God.
They were terrible. Oh. But, yeah, we were there, and we had to clean up the mess and get a place to make, for ourselves and put a tent up and that. It rained there one day. They said put a drainer on, dig a ditch about a foot deep around all your tent, and find a boardwalk across it from there. And it said, why? Well, it rains, it'll water could be all over your floor if you don't do it. I mean, it was just growling, but it got awful smelly when it got wet.
Oh, I can't.
And so that's what we did, and you might as well not have done it because I think we had 8 inches of water running right across the ground. It rains. Oh, when it rains over there, it pours. They think here, this is nothing compared to what they get over there, and they had a volcano on the island, and I think that was part of the problem. So we were on there, and then they took us over to New Britain to fight. Because they had, well, first of all, we went out on a trip. We were supposed to be running the Jap back to. These names got me.
It's okay.
It was the main Japanese base in the Pacific. Can't think of the name of it now. And which we run halfway up there and finally quit. We couldn't get in a fight with them. They wouldn't fight. They just kept going the other way, and we didn't want to get too far, because you get too far, you might get caught behind the lines instead of in front of them. Then we run into this chief. He was friendly to the Americans, and he had a daughter, I think a couple of sons, I believe it was. And anyhow, his daughter wasn't married. He's trying to push her off on the guys, She's hair out here. She was wicked. And anyhow, we had a hell of a time, getting rid of her, getting rid of him, really. And so the one guy that she thought she liked, she was after. We told the chief, or he said, well, we broke out some pineapple. They had it in a can, and I know why they gave it to us now, because they didn't have apples or anything, or they knew what pineapple was, but in a can you don't know what it is if you never had it that way. Well, he found out, he opened it up, it was pineapple, and he just went beside himself. He just couldn't believe how that grew in that can. We got him so upset in that kind of thing that he forgot all about her, and this guy went back all alone. We were probably 15 miles away from camp, and he went back there all alone.
He hightailed it out of there, huh?
Yeah, got him out of there, see. That made him mad. He couldn't understand why anyone would want to leave his daughter. But after all, she was doing everything. So that's fine. Well, we got out of that one. So then we decided maybe we better turn around and come back. And we did, but that was funny, though. See, couldn't figure out how to turn that thing off. Grab another one that we partially open, look at it, taste it. Yeah, pineapple.
Couldn't figure out.
And he could only speak part English. See, those islands were covered by the Aussies. And of course they speak English.
Yeah.
And they taught English too. So they have pretty good knowledge of it. You know, and I ran into that one day. I got out, I had to go out and measure some stuff out, distances and that. And I got run on to this village. I really didn't know where the hell I was at. Frankly, we had no maps. And I don't think they'd done you any good anyhow, because everything was vegetation. But anyhow, I ran into this one. The guy was doing ironing clothes, pants. You know, he's a native, and I looked at that, and I'm going to ask him, see if see, and I figured, well, he probably can't speak much English, because those that did that weren't speaking English very much. And so I tried to give him pidgin English as much as I could, you know, what we're in. And he stood and looked at me, and he just kind of smiled. And he says, the minister, he says, just left. He says, this morning he went to Melbourne, or no, Australia, not Melbourne, Australia, someplace. And he says they had some kind of meeting there he had to go to. And I said, what? I didn't expect any English at all. I said again, I says, are you talking right? He says, why? He says, you want to know where he went? He said, I told you. He says, he's just almost as good as I could do. I couldn't believe it. I said, well, who are you anyhow? Because he was native, you could tell that. You know? And he says, well, he says, I helped the minister here, you know. He says, and that's my job. I wash the clothes and iron them and stuff. And he says, I do that kind of stuff. Then they help him, he says, with the religious part when he's around. So that was pretty good. I just couldn't believe it. Honest to God, I was snowed.
Caught you off guard, huh?
Oh, yeah. And so everything came out all right, because then the chief found out about this stuff. And of course, he didn't know English like this guy, but he knew enough that they communicate, you know. Oh, that's funny. Then that night, I got back. We had wash machine Charlie, we called him, come over about every night, flying over, and he'd drop a few bombs. You know, so we're laying there, and heard wash machine Charlie. Everyone gets up and runs for you're hiding behind something. I'd already dug me out a trench and then had it. Well, I found out don't dig it too deep. Other guys tried to use it too. So four of us laying one on top of the other. in there, and he come over dropping these bombs, and of course they weren't near it. I think he dropped them in the ocean. Actually, I don't think he knew where we were at, because when they flew over, the Marine Corps had lights set up, and they shine these lights up on the planes. Well, this blinded the pilots and that. They couldn't see through that stuff, see? And so he probably was over the ocean, dropped it in there. We couldn't find out where he find it. But anyhow, he got by us and everything, and we heard someone screaming. You know, and all of a sudden it stopped. So we rushed over there, and the guy laying there, there's a big snake on the limb up there. He's crawling down, trying to get on him, I guess. Well, he shot him. You have eight bullets in the rifle pack here. He emptied all 8 bullets at him and passed out. And the snake was laying partly on him. Part of it was still on the tree.
Oh my God!
So we pulled the snake off. I mean, got him out of there and told him, "You're alive. I mean, you know, nothing out. I mean, no bite you and nothing." And well, the natives took him and they cut the skin off the snake and they dry it. See?
Yeah.
And they used, God only knows what they used for clothes, I guess. But we went back, and that was, I think, all for that night. The next night, all of a sudden we heard a gun go off, you know, wham, wham, wham. Well, by then we had hammocks stretched across the trees, and anyhow, we got excuse me, got over there, the captain, he was wrapped up in the hammock, and the hammocks had, I think they all had mosquito netting on 2 sides, one side from the other. And captain was in there, and he woke up, and I don't know what woke him up, God only knows what. He was scared, and he wasn't no good. And anyhow, he shot, he had washed his shorts, undershorts, and they're white, and hung on some bushes, and he had holes in them.
You thought it was somebody?
He thought it was a chap or something. We all stood there laughing. Oh, he got so damn mad. He was so mad. He, "Get me the hell out of here!" And he was caught because the thing turned over a couple times.
Yeah, because he was caught in there.
It caught inside of it. See, it was what cut him out of it. I'll never forget that. That was so funny. He shot down. We should have kept him for a souvenir.
Yeah.
That would have been something.
That's funny.
So yeah, he wouldn't look any of us in the face on that. That was funny. Those things were both funny. Yeah, I didn't run into any Japs there in the jungle. Further out we did, not right around there. I don't know. God knows what happened to them.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't gonna worry about them.
As long as you didn't see them.
Then we got transferred out of there. I went to almost all of our campaigns. We went in to fight or on a holiday. Started out battle.
Really?
Like Christmas Day. Christmas Day, they had it the day before and gave us a so-called good meal. And then Christmas morning we're aboard our rafts and they getting out there to land. New Britain. Went in there. That was the first real battle I got into. And well, I'll tell you, truthfully, they should have had me 9 times. Should have killed me 9 times. That's how close. I was only that far from my head getting this eye blowing out. and then they had a shell land in front of us, and that blew up and blew all stuff in my face, and I turned and ran and to try to get down the hill so the shells couldn't go over this hill, and they'd be too far. So when I got done shelling, I came up, and the guy sitting there, and he says, "Heyman," he said, "come over here." I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Come over here, I want to talk to you. Sit down." So I walked over and talked to him. Here was a colonel we had that was with us at the time. And he says, I said, "What can I do for you, sir?" And he says, "Well," he says, "I just want to ask you a question." I said, "What's that?" "What in hell hit me when that shell went off?" He said, "I thought I was going to be wounded." I said, "I don't know. I knew what hit him. I did." I ran right in there and run right over him. He said, "You sure don't know what hit me?" He says, I said, "Well, I don't know. You were the one that got hit." And he says, "I just want to thank you. You probably saved my life." I guess I hadn't even knocked him flat. Like I said, I was almost 200 pounds then. Oh, that was funny or no. Yeah, he never let me forget that either. Yeah, it's a good thing he took it in the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, after New Britain, we went back to Pavu, and then they moved us up to another camp, which wasn't a hell of a lot better. It was just loaded with the rotten coconuts, and anyhow, and then we fought there at that battle was Peleliu. That's where I was wounded. I had a piece of shrapnel that long, bigger with my thumb. I got it if you want to see it. Went into my right lung, hit my shoulder blade. The edge of it went into my lung and stuck about that far. It was red hot. And Corman tried to pull it out, and with his hand, it burned his hands so bad he couldn't do it. But it was good that it did that because it cauterized that wound. I didn't bleed hardly any. See, and he finally he wanted a razor blade. He kept hollering for a razor blade, and what he did is cut it out. They're in the battlefield. See, and he's gonna throw it down. Hey, me, I earned that. So I've had it ever since.
Really?
Yeah. But, yeah, I walked. Well, they sent 2 guys with me. I walked better than a mile back to A camp because we had no vehicles run up there. And as I got to the what it was, just tent. They had a couple of tents set up. And anyone who wounded got in there, and you waited to. So they send you out to the hospital ship. See.
Oh, okay.
And so I was loaded with morphine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand it to this day. And got done. By the time they got me out the hospital ship, I had thrown my helmet away, my sack, I guess, my rifle, everything else in the ocean.
You did?
Yeah.
Because you were just done with it?
Well, I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, because you were out of your mind, because all they pumped.
I had to crawl up a rope ladder, and up the main part of the ship there. The first thing they got you up there, they stripped you off and washed you. Because we were 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, you're just dirty.
Mud and crap, And because I know I got up there and something was happening. I knew something was happening, but I had no idea what the hell it was, And finally it came came to me, I guess I got worn off a little. But the nurse was wanting to give me a bath. You know, and she had a bucket hanging up there, and they pour water there, and I looked at her, what the hell are you? I'm a nurse. Get the hell out of here. You know, I kicked her out of there. I don't need you. You know, and that much I remember. From there on, again with Blake for a couple of days. But yeah, I got rid of her, but anyhow, before this, getting on the ship, I missed it. The guy come walking into camp carrying his guts. I still see that once in a while. And he dropped her dead right in front of me. What are you gonna do? Nothing you can do, you know. And it's just, I guess I praised it and glad that it was me, or it wasn't me, that him. Mm. But anyhow, no, I got rid of her. So they had us in pretty nice wards, and they operated on me, and I guess they scraped out in part of my lung. It bent some of my bones here, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're still bent. And because they on a hospital ship, it's nice, but not much they can do.
Yeah.
And anyhow, it turned out that was the same nurse. She was my nurse. Just stay away from me. Stay away from me. You know, that's a hell of a thing. You wake up, you know, and you're seeing someone giving you a bath. You know? Yeah, she was good though. I had 50 cents on me. Is all I had, and the hospital ship sold ice cream, stuff like that. Well, an ice cream cone was 50 cents. You know, and she said, "Why aren't you eating some ice cream or something like that?" I said, "I don't have any money. I spent it on about a cone. It was 50 cents, and that was it. I'm broke." So she bought me ice cream.
Aww.
Yeah, and so, but we were only 3 days, I think, get back to our camp. Not our camp, the hospital. Had for the Marines set up on Guadalcanal. And then I left there. I got mad. They gave me another nurse down there, and I told him, I said, I want to know how soon I could get the hell out of there, go back to our camp that we had, and you're not leaving until we tell you can go. Well, the nurse they gave me didn't change my bandages or anything there for 3 days, and it was started to get green. And the doctor came down there, and he was short too. He should have been there sooner than that. And I told him about it. He saw that, and he says, "How in the hell did that happen? You tell me." I said, "I don't know. I'm not a doctor, you know." And I told him the nurse, he wanted to know who the nurse was, boy, and he chewed her out, and he said, "Get out of here." And I said, "No, Doc," I said, "I'm going home." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm going back to the camp where I got." I said, "We got all men back there, and they're corpsmen, you know, they take care of you." He said, "Well, you're not leaving until I tell you." And I said, "Doc, I want to get the hell out of here. I can't take any more of it." And so he told me, he says, "Just sit there." He says, "You're not going to get, until I tell you you can go, you're not going to get any place." So the next morning he came, and I found some other clothes and put them on. He said, "Where the hell do you think you're going?" I said, "I'm leaving." He said, "You're what?" I said, "I'm leaving." He said, "I didn't say you'd go." Well, you better tell me now, because I'm catching the next boat out of here. They had some inter-island boats, trade boats, you know, and carried coconuts and all that kind of stuff. He says, "You serious?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Just wait." He says, "I'll be back." He went and got a release for me, my back. So I hung on arms around the mast of that boat, and we ran into a rainstorm, and the waves were hitting, washed stuff overboard and all that. I was hanging on. Some guy was hanging on my feet. That's true.
Oh my gosh.
And we hung on there till, we quit. And we still had a ways to go. I don't know how many. I don't know how far away it was. And we finally got to Papuvu, and they took care of us there. So I had 6 months I couldn't do much. This is the arm that I used all the time, I couldn't do much, so I got thrown the baseball a lot, and that helped a lot. Strengthened it up, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so after that was all over way. What was I think it's 67 days. I'm not quite sure of that. Between when that happened and when we went to Pelu. Well, they I had to take over there, and, because that's the job I had before I left. I was in charge of these guys and everything. So we went on and landed Pelu, and we got there. It was kind of choppy, but we're in these landing craft, and bullets were just hitting there all over hell. And any other officer, I don't know what he was. An officer though, he got hit right here on the way in, and the corpsman there, the Navy guy in charge of the boat, he kept telling everyone, keep your heads down, because we're getting close by. He says they'll be shooting at you. But she was right. He was right. And lieutenant didn't. I guess he was a lieutenant. He didn't fall until he got hit. Got hit right between the eyes. So then we had to go over the edges of the damn thing, because something happened to the gate on the back of it. Got stuck or something. They couldn't open it. So we all had to go over the edge and crawl up on the sand. And I laid there, and I could see, can't see them. You hear the bullets go by. And a couple of guys got hit. And a tank come up, one of our tanks, they had them so they could see out, but they couldn't see much. They just see enough to get it on the beach, and then they'd have to tear off whatever they had on. Well, they ran over two of our guys, and we couldn't pull them out. And, that doesn't make you feel very good either. So then I felt the water, and I felt warm and stuff, what the hell, I got hit in the rear end. I reached around to see, and here was I had 2 canteens of water, and I'm strapped on the back of me, and they shot both the holes through both of them. And the water leaked on me. It's warm, of course, feels like blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was blood at first till I looked at my hand and it wasn't. But the bullets missed me by that much. I dug enough in the sand to get down. And finally it let up a little bit. And I see a couple guys in this bomb hole, or shell hole, one or the other. And so I scampered quick and got over in there. someone was shooting at me and shooting at them too, I guess. And finally I spotted him in one of the coconut trees. I told the one guy that was ahead of me, I said, shoot up there, shoot up there. That's where he was at. He tied himself in the trees. That's what they do. They got shot, they just hung there. And so, I don't know, we was a couple, 2-3 hours all in between all this happening to get out of there. We got out and got ahead ways and got a little safer. Trench where they dug a trench across. And so one thing after another went there, and we didn't land where they said that we were going to land. So we weren't with our own outfit. Mm-hmm. So I had to try to find out where my guys were at. And we were on the edge of the airfield on the island. And anyhow, we could see the planes taking off and dropping their bombs and coming back. I mean, it's just a short run, one of the shortest in the war, they said.
Really?
And anyhow, we decided to get some coral. All that was coral in there. And get some of that and pile it up, hide behind you, because we'd sleep at night or stay behind at least and not get shot at or hit. And I'm telling you, I picked up coral pieces that big around that I couldn't budge the next day, and stacked them up. That's what happens to you when you get that feeling. And that's what there's 4 of us there, and we all did that. We just made a kind of a square, and we could all lay behind it, But we couldn't pick those damn things up, save our neck the next day.
Just that adrenaline rush. That.
Yeah. And wow. So then he got back with them. Then, like I say, the day I got hit, that was the first day, and the 4 days after that, before I got hit, we had nothing to eat other than a little bit they gave you before you got on the island, and coffee. They saw they had coffee. Well, they had coffee, if they called it that, but I drank it nevertheless. And so Colonel Puller, Chesty Puller was our colonel there, and Chesty was the most famous Marine ever, I think.
Oh, I saw you have a picture of him in your book.
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. He looks meaner than hell, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
But he was a nice guy. At least he was to me.
Mm-hmm.
The officers he didn't like.
Okay.
Oh, he chewed an officer out. He very seldom Marine enlisted. He'd go up and talk to him. But he figured the officers should know better.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he wanted me to stay there with him, and Chandler, Lieutenant Chandler, his pictures in there too, holding the parrot.
Oh, okay.
I bit him in the hand, and someone else. Oh, no, that was later. Well, anyhow, the 3 of us were there at least, and I just had a cup of coffee. I drank some, bent down like that to put in when it hit me. And probably it's a good thing it happened then, because otherwise it could have took me in the head, and which I wouldn't been here anymore. But anyhow, he was right there, and Chandler, who was a friend of mine, he was a hell of a nice guy, a lieutenant. He was a quarterback for the University of Pennsylvania at one time. And he threw up. He was eating beans. He got hold of some beans. He threw them all up and everything. And Puller yelled out, "Save those! We need them to eat." And but anyhow, Puller come over and he says, "You're hit." I said, "Yes, I know that." Something hit me. I honestly thought someone picked up a piece of coral and threw it at me. They're kind of horsing around at the time. And anyhow, it wasn't.
And that's where when you got hit in the leg?
No, shoulder.
This was your shoulder again?
Yep, shoulder. And then Chesty saw that, and he got the corpsman over. He says, "Get this man," he says, "out of here." And getting down to the beach. And that's they did. And they were shooting at us all the time and going, they weren't shooting me.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't hit either one of the two guys that were with me, but they were close. They were ducking all the time. So I just think they probably figured I was injured and wasn't any problem to them.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That they get the other guys, they could, because I was dragging my Tommy gun across the ground. I didn't care if I carried it or what.
Yeah.
So then this other thing happened after that. And yeah, that has been a long time ago.
Mm.
God, that must be, I don't know how many years. Yeah, we got out of that, and I said I went through all this thing with one of the doctors and that, down there, the nurse, and we got, I said it was like 65 days later, and we went to Okinawa.
Okay.
That was on we just had the day was on Sunday.
April 1st?
Yeah. At that time, it was April the 1st. It was also the holiday at that time.
Easter?
Huh?
It was Easter? Easter Sunday?
Easter.
Was it?
Easter Sunday.
Okay.
As I said, there's 2 out of 3 were holiday. Well, even I'm going to New Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a holiday too, but I can't remember what it was. But it was the day after that we went, which wasn't too bad. You could eat your dinner and whatever you had. But and then we landed there at Okinawa, and there's two Marine divisions and 2 Army divisions. We were on the left side of the group going in, and they were on the right. They were going down the south end, which was where the hills and that were a lot lower. And we all figured that's not where they all go. The Army, they'd go up there to the north end, or the Japs fight the north end, because those were mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Not big ones, but they were mountains. And it was just turned around the other way. The Army turned south, and we went north, and we cleaned out that north. The Army hit it, boy, they ran in, they couldn't move at all.
Really?
They were just stuck, so they had to take us, pull us off, and push us down with the Army. And I'll tell you, there's good guys in the Army, don't get me wrong. Maybe most of them are, I don't know. These weren't worth a damn. They're always behind us, and we got shot at from the back. The Japs would be in that lee part, and they could shoot and hit us from the rear. And we had to hang up on how many times, hold up, let the Army try to catch up with us. I wouldn't care to fight with the Army bunch anymore. I think most of us felt these guys were conscripts, as far as being put in. Probably didn't want to be there any worse than us even being there. Sure, in our case, the Marine almost, well, at that time, there was no conscripts, or whatever they call them, for the Marine Corps.
Okay.
It was all enlisted. I mean, you had to enlist, the regular.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like I say, I know a lot of Army guys, ex-Army guys. They're pretty damn nice guys. I've gone along with them years because it was peacetime, and I don't know what it'd be in war, but there's a lot of difference. A lot of difference. Yes, sir.
I believe it.
No kidding. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. And we were 3 months or so fighting there at in Okinawa, which was a hell of a battle. The worst one we had was Pello. We lost a lot of men on Pello. And I think when I left, I think they figured out it was maybe 200, 250 guys left out of the whole division, which you're talking about 14,000 guys. Either they were wounded or killed. And because the day after I left is when they pulled out. They took the 1st Marine Division out of there and had to bring in some other outfit, Marine outfit they had on standby, take over because they were just so shot to hell. We had the worst part of the landing too. We had all the real mountain. They had some real mountains there, and they were just like this. You had to crawl up sides of them, and they'd shoot down at you, and they were full of trenches, and not trenches but tunnels, and it was hell. It was hell. I'll tell you. They talk about some of these islands, what they had, and they had a big thing now about Iwo Jima. They're just celebrating something on it. From what I read, these guys got relieved and they call back even on a phone or radio and talk to their family. I never got anything all the time. I had 3 years overseas. I never got any. You never got to write a letter? Oh, write a letter, yeah, but you didn't know if it got there. Okay. Because you never got to receive anything back. No, well, I'd get a letter occasionally. You get through when the ships got sunk with a lot of our mail on it. Really? And, but I mean, we didn't, and they had much better food than we ever had, and stuff like that. And this all adds up, believe me. I don't know why I didn't lose any weight. I lost, I'm down to 140 pounds now. I was 189. Coming out? Huh? When you came out of the Marines? No. Oh. No, that's... yeah, when I came out, I weighed that. But I was just thinking, see, I got a spot here in my head there, and see, they got a plate in my head. And I was playing golf down here, and I don't know, I just slipped, the grass was wet or something. I hit the side of the cart, and anyhow, I didn't think anything of it. It didn't hurt other than just, just a little hurt. And we got done. I had 4 holes to play yet, and we finished those and went in and said, well, have a pop or a beer or something, and I sat there drinking pop, and boy, I thought my head was going to blow off. Oh, it hurt so bad. And I told him, I said, I'm leaving. I said, someone else should pay the bill. I'm getting the hell out of here, going home. I drove. And, no, we'll take you home. No, you're not taking me home. I'm not leaving the car here. I drove home, got back here, and the guy running the course there, I found out later, he followed me home, I guess. Oh, to make sure? Yeah, I never knew that till just here about a week ago. And anyhow, he came here, and Mike, he said, I gotta get you to the hospital. He says, because I guess I was moaning and groaning and everything, and it hurt. And they took me down to Memorial, and boy, the first thing they did is an ambulance, get it in there in Salida, right at St. V's, and put me in there, and it was all set up for the operation and everything. I operated on my head. They had to cut that out, get to it, and I woke up, I don't know, sometime later, I can't say when. I don't remember. Anyhow, I saw two of my sons standing there, and some other guy, and of course a couple of nurses around. And I says, they said, so how you feel or something? I said, I don't know. I says, where am I at? They took me to the hospital. I couldn't believe that. And I said, well, what in the hell am I doing here? Operating on you. We got to operate on you. I said, well, when the hell are you going to get it done? They said, we had it done for an hour already. You know?
No.
Just things come across, and they did. They were done. I'll tell you, that was the best hospital I've been in.
Yeah.
Yep. They treated you nice in there. I only had one time the nurses on duty didn't do her job. My head all packed up with stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And my grandson. Well, one grandchild, I got the doctor, or the lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
And he was in there. He's all dressed up, and the doctor asked. The doctor was kind of a little funny guy. Anyhow, he was kidding with him, and he said, "Well, I know these two, Mike and Rick." He says, "Who is this other guy?" "Oh, he's our lawyer. He's a lawyer." Yeah, he says, "I'm a lawyer for him." He said, "That doctor."
Right.
Told the nurses, don't tell them, don't say anything other than what you absolutely have to, you know. Everything.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that went over pretty fast. See, I got 24 stents in me.
Oh.
In my blood vessels. 24 of them. That's true. I got a heart valve they put in my heart. And that was supposed to, you know, in 8 days I was supposed to be able to get up and walk out. Well, it's 18 months, almost 2 years. July the 1st will be 2 years. And I was never told that. I've been here and sitting my hand in here doing. I can't do anything. I can't even get up and carry those chairs over and moving over. I'll be so pooped out. I don't know what to do. You know. So I don't know. I guess it's a good thing I was young when I got hit.
Yeah.
At that time. No, I don't know. But my son's up there now. He's not in there. He's in ProMedica. They took him out of my oldest son. He had a heart attack here the other day.
Is he the deacon?
Yeah.
Yes, I heard about him. I was wondering, one of our volunteers at the Hayes Center, her husband's Deacon Hammer, Sue Hammer, and she had mentioned him. I'm like, oh, I wonder if I didn't know if it was a relation to you or not.
Yeah, that's my oldest son. He's 63, I think.
Okay.
But, so I don't know that we're talking about. I hadn't gone up there yet. Most of the family's been there, I guess. But I said I just couldn't do it yesterday, or I don't even know. And they were talking now about tomorrow, but I don't know the way I feel today. I don't know if I can do it or not. we drive over to Sandusky, and I like to go over to that place that's right over by the mall there. They got a restaurant, a famous kind of family cooking, you know. I can't think of what the name of it is.
I'm not sure which one.
But it sits right on the end of it. It's pretty good size restaurant. And they make chairs. They got the chairs sitting out there in front.
Oh, is that Cracker Barrel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like their trout.
Oh, okay.
They have trout. Oh, it's good. Now, the last time I had it wasn't as good as it was the first.
Mm-hmm.
As it has been. But yeah, a lot of times we drive over there and like a Friday, I'd have it, and I can't eat a whole meal.
Mm-hmm.
Once I'd bring the rest home and have it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, yeah. See, that's my problem. I think of these things and I forget some of the important parts. I mean, they slip away. I've thought of them, and then all of a sudden they're gone.
That's okay.
You know, what are you going to do? I don't know. They got nowadays something. I got a notice on it here. I don't know where I put it, but it, see, I have. That's terrible. Oh, I get dizzy.
Mm-hmm. You said you have some vertigo.
Vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
Vertigo. That's right. I had it almost about 2 years.
Okay.
And I go in the hospital every day, and some black girl out there was the nurse. I can't remember her name anymore, but she got me out of it.
Good.
And that was every day too. But you want something to drink?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. No, I'm fine. Thank you, though.
What?
You want a shorter piece of shrapnel?
Huh? Yeah.
Sure.
You got it?
You got it.
We were stacked up in the camps, and there's some guys coming and some going. And, you know, replacements coming in, and the Marines were hunting for officers and people, the officers, and they said something to me about it, and I said I would have been. I wanted to be at one time. I said I didn't care about being an officer, but I wanted to be a pilot. They have to be officers, I guess. But I said that's what I wanted, was something like that. And so, would you be interested? I don't know. I said I doubt it. But anyhow, they sent me back as a replacement, for a replacement, and I was going to get 30 days off, which is very generous because I didn't have any time off at all.
Yeah.
And I rated a lot more than 30 days even. But they said, then they sent me to, there in Washington. Geez, that quick, I forget the name. Jeez, that bugs the hell out of me. Officers candidate was 17? Oh, either 14 or 17 I was to go down there, and they transferred me out of the 1st Marine Division into an anti-aircraft outfit.
Okay.
See? And I said, hell with that noise. I stuck out there a month. And I said, I want to go home. I don't want any aircraft outfit. Hell, that war is over. You know, they don't need that. Well, we've gotten in that typhoon they had. I got knocked flat in my fanny trying to walk in a typhoon. You ever try it?
No.
It's an experience. Believe me, boy. I picked up a board. I was going out to get a board to help nail up part of the tent to keep it from blowing over, and it got me, and I was just going like a propeller. All of a sudden, wham, hit the deck like that. I left go. I don't know, that piece of wood's probably still flying. It went flying off, and I crawling on my hands and, well, in my belly, really. I couldn't even get out on my knees. So I finally got back in. We had a tunnel and cave that they dug in.
Mm-hmm.
Japs had dug in. We took that over and I laid up on a shelf, kind of like in there, and I don't know, sometime in the night, and I woke up and what the hell going on? Something was nibbling my ear. With a rat. That was the end of that night. Well, we didn't get out of there, and someone, I guess one of our guys bitched to the general we had. They changed generals on us. I can't remember his name. He was Mexican, and turned out to be a pretty nice guy, really. And he came down, and he's the one that I guess gave the order about sending us back, And we weren't gone. He said, "What are you doing here?" Well, hell, they hadn't taken us out. We're supposed to have been gone here days, a couple of weeks ago. He says, "Just let me handle it." And we did. And we finally heard commotion going on. When he was down the tent, he was cheering this colonel up. That was the head of the outfit we were in. He says, "They better be aboard that ship or a plane tomorrow morning." He says, "Your ass," he says, "going to be over here the rest of your life." Boy, was he mad. He chewed him out from one end to the other, and the next morning we was aboard ship. I guess, sure you don't want to?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Sure?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got aboard ship and sailed back. It took me 30 days to get over there on ship. And I think it took us a week and a day to get back
home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something like that. But a lot more exciting going over than it was coming back. We had nothing. We had an egg. They give you an egg and a piece of toast and a cup of coffee for breakfast. That was our breakfast coming back. And at noon, we got nothing. At supper time, we got maybe a piece of ham, if there happened to be some, or a couple of eggs, and a piece or two of bread,
Mm-hmm.
That was our meal coming back. So on the back of the ship, there was two piles back there. They were wire like enclosures,
Mm-hmm.
and one had potatoes in it, the other one had onions. And we broke that wire and we'd reach in and get potato and we'd get the skin off of it. And same with the
onions.
The onions, Yeah, that's what we ate for noon. And they didn't like it. I don't know what the hell they're keeping it for.
No kidding.
That was our meal. And I wasn't here long. Well, we got pulled into the harbor down at 25, same one I left on. I pulled in there, and boy, everyone started to get over to the starboard side of the ship. And it was just bending like this, And I was on a rope. I was afraid he was going to tip over and down. It would have drowned me. There's no way I could have got out with all those guys laying on top of you.
Yeah.
And anyhow, the captain kept screaming. They got shoremen up there and everything. Pushed guys back. Tell them to get on the other side of the boat to level it out, you know. So we got that done. They left us get off board. And all we had, I think we had just around 600 guys on the ship. And what I had was a cup of coffee and 2 donuts. That was our thing for coming home. You know, war then. No, nothing else. You know, and there was only 4 women there, old ladies.
Mhm.
I gotta thank them. They were nice as could be. They were working their butts off trying to hand that stuff out. And so then they brought cattle cars in. You know what they are? The trucks with the back end of the truck where they carry stuff.
Mhm.
They had long stakes stuck in about that
Mhm.
high. You know, about up to your chin. And that's what they were for cattle, hauling cattle in the different ranches. So they ran us out to Camp Pendleton on that.
Mhm.
And I was stuck out there for almost 2 weeks.
Mm.
And my feet hurt so bad. See, I had boots on more or less for 3 years.
Yeah.
And they gave us Shoreshine shoes, which is a hell of a good shoe.
Mm.
To the average guy, but you couldn't wear the things we'd wore before. We couldn't even walk in them. Our legs hurt so bad, and we were Oceanside, California.
Mhm.
So I saw one. Not too many roads out there had curbs on them.
Mhm.
I saw this one main road that we'd be sitting on. That's what I did. I sat on that curb, a low curb there, and I couldn't walk any further. And I told the other, there was 4 of us, and they said the same thing. They couldn't. Our feet hurt, and blisters started and everything. And a car stopped and pulled the head of us away, and then backed up. What the hell is she doing? I saw the woman. What the hell is she doing? Back then, she rolled the window down. She says, "What's the matter, guys? You got a problem?" And told her, you know. Oh, she says, "Yeah, he'll get it."
It's okay.
She says, "Get in." She says, "I'll take you wherever you want to go."
Aw.
I said, "You kidding?" She said, "No." And so I crawled in. I happened to sit up front with her because there wasn't that much space in the cars then. And 3 guys got in the back, and I said, I said, "You're doing something that you shouldn't be doing." She says, "What's that?" I says, "Picking 4 guys up like this. You're all alone."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well," she says, "I drove." On the phone.
It's okay.
She says,
Hello?
I drove by, and she said, "I saw you guys sitting there." And she says, "I just figured, there's something wrong.
Mhm.
If I can help, I'll help whatever you need." I said, "Well, we don't know." And finally she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, we're going to this camp back here." It was 7 miles down the road and 7 miles back in.
Okay.
And going back in from the road, from a paved road, you were walking on loose stone, the other one. And anyhow, she says, "Get in." She took us down there. She says, "Where do you go? You turn in here." She turned in there and took us back here. I tell you, I've never so thankful in my life. Oh my God, my feet hurt, legs hurt.
Mm.
And so we finally got out of there and got on the train to go to Chicago. And they dumped me out at Great Lakes.
Okay.
Marine Corps was the Great Lakes. And I got, what's that, that pill? Oh, for God's sakes. They stopped at a Fred Harvey restaurant. Did you ever eat those?
No, but when I interviewed Dick Willer, he said that's what they used to eat at.
Yeah.
Yep.
The government paid for it. We didn't have to pay for it.
Said he had these little checks because he was in charge of all these little guys too when you guys went over, and he said he had to write the check out. And Yep.
And so that's why I got into Chicago at the main yards there. They let you out, passengers. So we got out, and I had to wait for the Bellevue Gazette train. So forgot what they called it. Anyhow, I found out I wasn't coming for 8 or 10 hours. They didn't know exactly what it was. So I said, well, I'm not going to sit down here at this railroad station. There was nothing to do. I mean, you get something to eat, and that was about it. So I said to myself, I'm going to walk up the main road. There was a main road a block or two ahead there. And a different one said, don't leave the station. Well, I left it. I went up there and I went and saw a movie, and got out of that and come out, and right next door was a restaurant. It was actually a bar and a restaurant. And I said, well, hell, I'm going to get something to eat. I got something to eat, and got done. I started out and went down the road and went heading back for the railroad station, which I still had 2 or 3 hours to wait. And I got down it's between blocks. There's a alley going through.
Okay.
And here come 4 guys out of that alley after me. Just what they said it was going to happen. And I didn't know what to do, I had nothing to fight with. I didn't have anything to defend myself with other than my fists. And lo and behold, here come a big cop out of the alley. And that sucker was 6 foot something, probably better part of 300 pounds. Man, he was a biggie. And those guys dispersed. When he saw him, he says, one of you make a wrong move, he says, you're dead. He says, I don't screw around. And apparently they knew he didn't, because they scattered and they got out of there. And so he says, where are you going? I said, the train station. He says, I'll go with you. So he walked down there and with me, and he says, you going to have something to eat? I said, well, I ate a sandwich up there. I said, you probably have a cup of coffee or two. Let's sit down. He sat there with me all the time. Till the train came. And he says, I'm going to make sure that you're on that train. And I thanked him on it. He told me he's a big Irishman is what he was. And I told him, I said, boy, thank you. And then I got aboard that train, and they're headed to Bellevue, and I guess they don't have too many stops, but they didn't have many stops. But every stop they made, it took them 15, 20 minutes to get going. And so I told the conductor, I said, look, I said, I'm tired. I said, I've been up, and this was early in the morning. Around, I don't know, must have been midnight, something like that. I says, now I got to stop off at Bellevue with my stop. Now, if I'm sleeping, for God's sakes, wake me up. He did. He woke me up. I had about 5-10 minutes to go before it stopped. And I got off, and it was dark, and there was no light. Only one small bulb lit at the station. And I didn't know what to do. You get off and pitch back black like that, and it was cold. And I said, I knew I had to walk a couple of blocks. So I started out. All of a sudden, a hand hit me on the shoulder. Holy God, I turned around, I was going to slug him. And here the guy was smoking a cigarette, and he took a puff with enough light that you could see a face. There's a friend of mine. And I don't know, I never found out he's dead now. His name was Friend. What is his name? Friend. And anyhow, I'd asked him different times. He'd never tell me. I said, what the hell are you doing? I finally said, what are you robbing things or something? No, he says, I heard you were coming. I said, how did you know that? I didn't know. I don't know. To this day, I don't know how I found out. My dad didn't know it. He was sound asleep when I got home. I had no key to get in, and I banged on the door and practically kicked it in. So his friend and finally he woke up and come down and opened the door. Who in the hell thought area or something like that. And then he saw me, and I hadn't seen him for 3 years. That's it. It was too much. So we sat up and smoked cigarettes. So I got about 9 o'clock, I guess it was. He always told me anyone that smoked cigarettes wasn't worth a damn. See? So I looked at him and says, you know something? He said, what's that? I says, you're not worth a damn. So what do you mean by that? I said, just what you meant. That's what you always told me. I smoked cigarettes, I wasn't worth a damn. I says, you're smoking cigarettes, you aren't worth a damn. And I was reported killed in action.
You were?
Yeah. Yeah, because a stump I was sitting on in Pellew before I got hit. Sitting there and having a cigarette. And it was early in the morning. And anyhow, I got up and left. Someone hollered for me. I don't know if something happened. I got up and left and walked out. And I didn't know this at the time, because I didn't know till a month or so later that this guy was killed. He come over and sat where I was sitting, and a mortar shell come down, they say, and hit him, and blew him in the stump all to hell. And they didn't know who it was. They reported it was me, because they saw me sitting there. So they Roosevelt sent a letter to my dad, tell me what she did to all guys I killed, and told me that I was killed in action and that they had insurance, and stuff. And so it took a while. Well, it was 8 months before I found out, because when I found out, I had Eileen Dudley. She's Eileen Fox or something like that now. She was married, and she was my next door neighbor. And she was a year older than I was. And I got a letter from her for one day, and it said, "Are you alive or are you dead?" I thought, ooh, what the hell thing you ask about that? I'm overseas, And I got reading, and she's the one that said in the letter. In the meantime, when she found out, I wrote a letter to her. It was after she wrote the letter to me. So she knew I had to be alive. At least someone had to be. And so I wrote her, and I told her what it was, and I said, well, you fall in line with him and straighten that out while you didn't tell him. I guess so. He always walked down there in the morning to Billy McLean's over there at Bellevue, and they have a breakfast and lunch or something. and they were walking the sidewalk, and she said something to me. She said, "Yeah," and they always called me Bud. She said, "Have you heard from Bud lately?" And no, he says, "You know better than that." She says, "Well," she says, "I want to tell you something that I want you to get upset about." But she says, "Bud's not dead." He went right over in the yard, and so she got him straightened out. And I said, "You get, all these things. You never think they'd happen, you know." But then I found out that well, it was the captain and the major. The major we had was in charge of the money. You know, and he wrote the checks out. We were supposed to have checks. All I ever got was $5 a month, and all the rest was supposed to have been kept for me. Well, when I had it sent home to Dad, and he refused to take it. He put it in the bank. And he says, "Don't send me any money." He says, "You keep it." I said, "I had no place to spend it except there to buy candy bars from the Air Corps." And they were only 5 cents a piece.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'd better keep it at home," which he did. He kept it all there. I told him to spend it. I said, "I gave it to you." I said, he wouldn't do it. But, yeah. Well, when they discharged me, I got $70 discharged. And they said, "You sure you want that, or do you want to re-enlist?" I says, "I'll take the 70, but I sure as hell don't want to re-enlist." And I said, "This ain't very damn much money. I'm sure I got more than that coming." Well, I don't know if I had or not. I never got any more, so I guess I didn't. But, then I got, like I said, working over the Whirlpool there, whatever they call it, and I got working over here. I got a job over here with a carpenter, and I don't know, Leo Miller, probably you wouldn't have met him, probably not. Leo was a contractor. He was just like I was, got out of the service, and then he got a job with a contractor, and at that time I got another job with the shear works. I was up there straightening shears up so they cut, and he's down there sawing wood and laughing, shaking it at me because he was right. I could have thrown the shears and hit him, And I says to him, I says, "For Christ's sake, can't you get someone to give me a job," I said, "like you got?" And instead of being with these stupid things, they were terrible. Sure. And he says, "Well," I said, "I'll talk to boss." He says, I doubt it. He says, "He just hired me." He says, "I don't know. The guy didn't want anyone else." Everything. So then I went to Freeman Engineering. Got a job with them. I worked there a couple of years with them, and the guy from the shoe works come down to see me one day. He says, "I'll come back to work with us." And I said, "Well, with whom?" He says, "The shoe factory." "I wouldn't have anything to do with you guys. I don't know." He had it in for me. Well, I guess I threw the shears out the window one day. Yeah, I got mad. Anyhow, I said, "What are you paying?" 75 cents an hour. That's how I got it. That's when I first worked there. It was 75 cents an hour. The kids don't believe me. You put in 8 hours, and well, the shears came back. The metal wasn't good in them, and you'd have to tack them with a hammer to get them cut right. And every now and then we got a bad batch of metal like that. So I'd gotten through about a half a box with them, and the window was open. Leo was down there working, and the guy come up and raised hell with me because the shears, some of them were cutting right, some weren't. And I said, well, if you get this metal, and if you weren't so tight, you'd buy decent metal. I said, we'd have things to work. I said, hell, you think I'd like to sit here and go over everything again? And I don't know what he said, something about it. For 75 cents, I said, well, I took it and threw the box shears all right out the window. I went home, and he came around just a couple weeks later, come around and wondered if I'd come back. No way. I said, I wouldn't work for you bunch of tightwads for nothing. And so then I got a job right after that with Freeman Engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then they got to the point where they're having a hard time paying their bills and paying us and everything else. And I finally quit that, and I went in for myself. Carl Cronin, you ever hear of him? Carl Cronin?
Mm-mm.
He worked for him too. And so we were together for a while, and then he wanted out. He figured he could make more by himself. So fine. So I built this. I built about 30-some homes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did this one here. This was my third house
Oh, is it?
that I, for myself.
Oh.
I won just